Chapter 2161. That was the Beast Tamer King Guguju. In the Beast Tamer King Valley, he was the one with the strongest beast taming ability and the highest level. Su Yu and the rest could resist his plundering. How strong was the beast taming technique that Luo Qingtong taught them? The group of people did not forget what the Beast Tamer King Guguju had said before. Their beast taming technique had been completed, and their strength and power were more than twice as strong as before. Under such circumstances, the beast taming technique that Luo Qingtong taught Su Yu and the rest could resist his plundering. The significance of this was simply terrifying. The group of people shuddered in their hearts as they thought about it. They began to wonder if they had made the wrong choice. After all, if the ability of Su Yu and the rest to walk in the forbidden area came from the treasure map that Luo Qingtong obtained, then where did the contract technique that she taught them come from? The young girl's ability was so strong. If they could not kill her here, what kind of terrible situation would they face in the future? The group of people thought, and their hearts grew colder and colder. They looked at Luo Qingtong with more and more fear in their eyes. Some people were even thinking if they should take advantage of the fact that they had not made a big mistake and turn the tables. However, just as they were thinking this, the Beast Tamer King Guguju's words had already shattered their fantasy. Stop dreaming. I advise you to properly deal with them with us. Killing Luo Qingtong and blocking her path to contract is the right thing to do. Otherwise, do you think she will let you go? You already have the intention to kill her. Moreover, you have already boarded the ship of our Beast Tamer King Valley. Do you think it will be so easy to get off? You don't want to cooperate with us? Then we, the people of the Beast Tamer King Valley, can only drag you down with us. The Beast Tamer King Guguju's face was sinister. Before this, he had never thought that Su Yu and the rest would have such a trick up their sleeves. Luo Qingtong, that bitch, had too many tricks up her sleeves. She had actually set up layers upon layers of traps on her subordinates. But so what? Just a bunch of demonic beasts. In terms of strength and numbers, they had the advantage in numbers. Now that everyone from these sects had boarded his pirate ship, it was impossible for them to get off. He could only fight alongside them to kill Luo Qingtong. He did not believe that the people from the Heavenly Yuan sect could withstand it. Hearing this, the expressions of the people from the other sects changed. They looked at Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others. The latter and the others had ferocious looks on their faces as they surrounded them. Obviously, as long as the people from the various sects dared to make a move, they would immediately launch an attack. If they died, the people from the other sects would not be able to live either. Such a method of mutual destruction instantly caused the people from the various sects present to suck in a deep breath. Only now did they know what it meant to ask a tiger for its skin. Now that they had boarded the pirate ship of the Beast Tamer King Valley, they could only deal with Luo Qingtong and the rest with them. Otherwise, the people from the Beast Tamer King Valley would drag them down with them even if they died. Thinking of this, the crowd suddenly had no other ideas and could only continue to charge towards Su Yu and the others. After a brief moment of pleasure, Su Yu's group and the people from the Heavenly Run sect waited for their arrival with rapt attention. Chapter 2162. Protect Master. Su Yu's face had always been very calm, except for the pride in Luo Qingtong shown on her face when she was defeated by Guguju, the Beast Tamer King. She didn't reveal any other emotions on her face. She was the leader of the Heavenly Diabolism. She was appointed by Master to take charge of the Heavenly Diabolism. The girl rescued her from the slave market, gave her freedom, dignity and growth. Her only hope in this life was to become an indestructible shield in front of Luo Qingtong, a sword that could break through anything. At this moment, it was time for them to protect their master and kill everything for their master. Fight! Fight! As Su Yu's voice sounded, the people of the Heavenly Diabolism behind her also jumped onto their contracted beasts. They looked at the people of the Heavenly Diabolism and the Beast Tamer King Guguju, who were charging at them with determination and coldness. Kill! Not far from them, Su Xiaoxiao, Little Overlord Yuan, and the others were also ready. They were not as strong as the people of the Heavenly Diabolism. Their individual strength was far less powerful, than the people of the heavenly diabolism's formation. They guarded Luo Qingtong with cold eyes, as the last line of defense in front of her. If the people of the heavenly diabolism were killed, the people of the Tianyuan sect would all die. Then it would be their turn to die for Luo Qingtong. Buzz! Su Xiaoxiao closed her eyes tightly. Her long hair was flying. The girl's timid and delicate face was full of cold determination at this moment. After so many experiences, Su Xiaoxiao changed from a little rabbit, who cried easily with tears in her eyes, to a strong and cold girl in battle. When it came to anything related to Luo Qingtong, all her timidity and delicateness no longer existed. "Boss, I said I would be your personal combat alchemist," she murmured in a low voice. His entire perception spread out in an instant. Su Xiaoxiao's talent in alchemy was truly unique. Her medicine refining skill was slow and time-consuming, and the effect was not good. However, she had one thing that no alchemist, not even alchemist, possessed. That was his powerful perception. She was able to mix any element in the world and superimpose its medicinal properties. At this moment, she was trying to fuse and break down the spiritual qi and elements in the air of this forbidden zone. Aside from Luo Qingtong, no one else in this world could compare to her innate talent in alchemy. Su Xiaoxiao's hands kept dancing in a dazzling manner. She was going to use the spiritual qi of heaven and earth in this forbidden area to combine and develop a unique medicinal liquid. This medicinal liquid was guided by the power of the mythological beasts and fused with the spirit qi light pillar that plunged down from the sky. The power of the combined medicinal liquid was something that even Su Xiaoxiao, the person who refined this medicinal liquid, couldn't control and unravel. At that time, she and everyone around her would all die. This medicinal liquid was the last line of defense that Su Xiaoxiao was protecting for Luo Qingtong. Beside her, Ling Tianhan, Little Tyrant Yuan, Sima Ju, and the others also displayed their strongest and most forbidden abilities. Ling Tianhan's left and right hand swords, as well as the mother and son swords, were all ready. He was a natural sword son, and his ability to control the sword was unparalleled. He didn't feel his talent before. Chapter 2163. Until now, he had already used the mother-child double swords that Luo Qingtong had made for him. He was very familiar with them, as if they were his own arms. And Sima Ju released all the power of his body of all poisons. In an instant, his entire body became as black as Chun Mo. Even Sima Ju himself would suffer from this kind of black. But the young man just glanced at his body coldly, and then fiercely swallowed back the blood in his mouth. Yuan Little Tyrant activated the petrification soul seal in his body to the extreme. He had always listened to Luo Qingtong, and used his petrification soul seal to the extreme, constantly switching between extreme softness and extreme hardness. This time, he went against Luo Qingtong's teachings, and activated his petrification soul seal to the extreme. "Boss, you said that my petrification soul seal is at the extreme, and it can be easily smashed into powder by a punch. Why don't I use the combination of hardness and softness to trap the ground?" But the smile on his lips was careless, and he still looked silly. But he said with a smile, "If you want to use hardness and softness, you have to retreat and disperse the force. I won't retreat this time. Damn it, without boss, what's the point of living? Trap my ass. I'm going to fight with them. Let them know how powerful I, Yuan Little Tyrant, am. Damn it, it's not easy for me to improve my strength. I haven't had time to show off to boss. It's ruined by these bastards. Forget it. If there's a next life, I'll reincarnate into a better soul seal. Boss, don't despise me in the future. Otherwise, I'll hug your leg and cry for you to see." As he said, he suddenly grinned. Ling Tianshan, Ling Yu and the others behind him didn't say anything. They just silently took out their weapons and stood behind him unswervingly. Kill. The people of the Sky Yuan sect stood together with Su Yu and the others. They were also ready for battle. The Grand Supreme Dean looked at the direction where the beast tamer King Guguju and the others were coming from. He then looked at Bai Suqing and said, "Hey, Qing. If we don't die this time, let's go back and get married, okay? When the time comes, I want you to marry me grandly. Then, we'll have another chubby boy." Let that girl, Luo Qingtong, be his godmother. That way, we won't have to worry about our son not having anything good. That girl definitely won't be so stingy. When Bai Suqing heard his words, her heart skipped a beat. She rolled her eyes at him and said, "Dream on." Letting his student be his son's godmother. Only he could think of such a thing. However, as Bai Suqing said those words, she turned around and tears filled her eyes. If she could return alive, of course she was willing, but what he was afraid of was that he couldn't. While the Grand Supreme Dean and Bai Suqing were talking, Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others were already very close to the Sky Yuan sex group. Kill! Beast Tamer King Guguju's face was cold. He stared fiercely in the direction where Luo Qingtong was. At this moment, the huge ball of light beside the young girl had already spread to almost half of the blood-red veins. Her strength had also increased to the middle stage divine spirit realm. This kind of speed of improvement was really too shocking. He couldn't let that be *TSH continue to improve. Boom! The two sides collided heavily. In an instant, the color of the sky changed abruptly, and there was an unusually strong and intense fluctuation of energy. The battle had begun. Chapter 2164. Rumble. The entire world changed color. In the center of the Forbidden Zone, countless amounts of heaven and earth spirit chi surged, colliding rapidly with each other like raging waves. This kind of collision was extremely violent, and those who heard it from afar were extremely shocked. Outside the land of the fallen immortals, even though they were quite a distance away, Beiqing, Fengyu, and the others could still hear the violent collision coming from inside. Looking from where they were, the huge spirit chi whirlpool had been spreading out from the center of the Forbidden Zone. That was not the place where the spirit chi hurricane poured in when the sector beast was born. Obviously, because of the existence of the sector beast, the sects there had already started fighting. That evil doctor. Everyone couldn't help but look at Yi Qianxian. The latter's eyes were fixed on the center of the land of the fallen immortals. His hands, which were hidden in his sleeves, clenched and unclenched again and again. Yi Qianxian's eyes were cold, but his feet, which were standing on the mountain peak, didn't even take a step forward. He had promised Luo Qingtong that he would wait for her to come back. His Qingtong was a phoenix soaring in the sky, the most beautiful in the world. She wasn't the canary that he held in his palm. When the girl was extremely weak, she was able to escape from his hands again and again. He didn't believe in her. He didn't believe in himself. He couldn't destroy Luo Qingtong. The girl's experience didn't need his intervention. He couldn't stop her transformation. Yi Qianxian put his hands behind his back and kept rubbing the Shifeng dragon ring on the ring finger of his left hand. The gloomy black light on it continued to flicker. The light in Yi Qianxian's eyes was extremely dark. The viciousness and coldness within it continued to rise and be suppressed. As the ruler of a region, he had never restrained himself like this before. In the past, he could be angry and happy whenever he wanted. But that woman was really his nemesis. Yi Qianxian looked in the direction of the land of the fallen immortals and slowly closed his eyes, feeling the torment of not being able to make a move. He could feel that Luo Qingtong was going through a very important transformation. Once he made a move, he would destroy the land of the fallen immortals, and this transformation. Yi Qianxian's eyes were cold as he suppressed the bloodthirst in his heart. While his heart was cold, the Star Alliance Palace Master, who was not far from the land of the fallen immortals, was extremely surprised. Haha, good. Fighting in the center of the Forbidden Zone, which means they're inside. Someone can get that sector beast. He was very expectant. All the experts from the Star Alliance branch palace had been mobilized by him. Of the immortals, of the alliance of the fallen immortals, the immortals. At that time, that once-in-a-lifetime treasure would be his. Thinking that he might be able to get the sector beast that so many strong people in the star fields wanted, the palace master of the Star Alliance Palace Master was extremely excited. He finally felt that being banished to this remote and low-level continent wasn't a bad thing. At least, if he stayed in those high-level continents, or even in the Star Alliance, he wouldn't even be able to see the sector beast. Not to mention obtaining the other party. Thinking of this, he was very proud. Chapter 2165. Oh my God. I really wish I could grow 8 legs at this time. Damn it. Little Pig was anxious as he listened to the spiritual energy fluctuations and sounds coming from the center of the Forbidden Zone. If it weren't for the fact that Luo Qingtong's blood had been unsealed, and that this was the land of the fallen immortals, he couldn't ruin Luo Qingtong's chance of obtaining the Sector Beast. Did he have to be so aggrieved? If he transformed into his original form, he could just kill her with one claw. Anyway, he had already unsealed one claw. If Grandpa Pig didn't show his power, did they really think he was a pushover? Little Pig's heart was full of depression. Yunshi could also feel the waves of spiritual energy that were constantly coming from the front. She frowned when she sensed the beast mark fluctuations of the Beast Tamer King, Guguju, and the others. The Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others were also there? It seemed that their worries were true. Most of the people from the sects in the hidden world had run to the center of the Forbidden Zone. She didn't know how Luo Qingtong was doing. However, judging from this large-scale collision, the possibility of Luo Qingtong making a move was very small. Otherwise, with her ability, the demonic beasts on the side of the Beast Tamer King, Guguju, would have already turned on her. Thinking about it, was she already in the contract? She lived in the cracks of the Yin family all year round, so she was very sensitive and meticulous. She sensed the energy fluctuations in front of her and had already guessed the situation. Thinking of this, she suddenly stopped in her tracks. I won't go over, she said to Little Pig. I'll stay here and lure all the demonic beasts controlled by the people of the Beast Tamer King's Valley here. You take the Yin corpse there. The Yin corpse Yin she mentioned was naturally the corpse puppet of the great young saint. Little Pig was a little angry when he heard her stop, but after hearing her words, he suddenly understood. Okay, you stay here. Luring the demonic beasts of the Beast Tamer King's Valley here was better than Yin she going over there and seizing control of them one by one. After all, it wasn't necessarily urgent. Secondly, the Beast Tamer King, Guguju, and the others weren't to be trifled with. They had cultivated the beast taming art for so many years. How powerful were they? Although the power of Zhuge Shursan's beast mark that Yunshi had inherited was powerful, she could only exert a part of it. How much time would it waste just by relying on level suppression? But now time was life. Are you confident? Little Pig asked worriedly. There was still quite a distance between here and there. Yes. Yunshi nodded. In the beast mark that Zhuge Shursan had passed down to her, there was a method that could only be performed by the direct descendants of the Zhuge family. It was a method to urgently recall all the demonic beasts that could be controlled. It was used when the Zhuge family was in danger. Although she was not a member of the Zhuge family, she had inherited Zhuge Shursan's beast mark. Zhuge Shursan was a direct descendant of the Zhuge family. If she used his beast mark inheritance to perform this move, there would be no problem at all. However, this meant that her beast mark inheritance would be wasted for at least a year, and she wouldn't be able to use it again. But for the sake of Luo Qingtong, it didn't matter. She was grateful to Luo Qingtong, so she didn't mind losing a year of time. Moreover, if it weren't for Luo Qingtong's help, she wouldn't even have this inheritance. So how could it be wasted? The more she understood the power of this beast mark inheritance, the more grateful she was to Luo Qingtong. Not to mention that Luo Qingtong had saved her and solved all her crises. Thinking that she could go back and take over the Yun family after she got out of here and free her mother, who had been enduring hardships for her, she felt very happy and elated. Chapter 2166. Okay. Little Pig didn't know the details and thought it was a simple matter. He nodded and said, Okay, then hurry up. I'll bring this guy over first. As he spoke, he continued to rush forward with the great young saint corpse puppet. At this moment in the center of the Forbidden Zone, rumble, violent sounds mixed with violent fluctuations of aura surged within. The air was filled with violently fluctuating spiritual energy. The surrounding spiritual energy fluctuations were stirred to the extreme, forming tornado-like hurricanes in the air. Rumble. The violent sounds of collision stirred up tens of thousands of waves. In just an instant, the people on Guguju's side, and the people on the Sky Yuan sect's side all let out a muffled groan. In the face of the violent collision, the violent sounds and energy fluctuations that could destroy the heavens and the earth, those who were slightly weaker would be sent flying while vomiting blood. The Sky Yuan sect's master and the others were already desperately resisting. However, in terms of the number of experts, they were much less than Guguju's side. Not to mention, the strength of the experts in the beast-taming valley was equivalent to the strength of 2 first-rate sect experts. The other first-rate, second-, and third-rate sects had gathered. Their combined strength was not to be underestimated. The Sky Yuan sect was already one of the stronger first-rate sects below the beast-taming valley. The other first-rate sects were not as strong as them. After that, Luo Qingtong provided them with the energy to purify the immortal jade bone. Everyone's strength had increased by a lot. However, in the end, they couldn't defeat the combined strength of so many people. Those people from the other sections. Because of Guguju's words, they knew that they had no way out. If the people of the Sky Yuan sect didn't die, they would be dragged down with the beast-taming valley. Immediately, they didn't hesitate or hold back. Everyone attacked with all their might. Rumble. Even if the people of the Sky Yuan sect tried their best to resist, they were still sent flying while vomiting blood. As for the beast-taming King Guguju and the others, they brought their contracted beasts and faced off against Suyu's group. A grain of rice dares to compete with the sun and moon. The strength of the demonic beasts under you is not bad. That bitch Luo Qingtong is also willing to work on you guys. Beast Tamer King Guguju's gaze swept past Suyu and the others like a snake. His gaze was extremely cold. Luo Qingtong, that bitch, even gave such a precious beast-taming method to the people around her. She had never lacked beast-taming techniques. The beast-taming talent and strength he had displayed back in beast-taming King Valley was real. How hateful. She had always been playing them in the palm of her hand. She wanted them to think that she was deliberately mystifying herself in order to sneak into the beast-taming King Valley. What was more infuriating was that bitch had such powerful beast-taming incantations, yet she still tried to rob them of their legacies in the Shattered Star Valley. It was simply hateful to the extreme. *TCH. It was no wonder that she had passed down the beast mark to the weak girl beside her without any hesitation. It turned out that she didn't care about this beast-taming inheritance at all. When the beast-tamer King Guguju and the others thought of this, they were so angry that the veins on their foreheads bulged. Chapter 2167. That's right. So what if Suyu's ability to control demonic beasts was better than theirs? So what if their compatibility with demonic beasts was higher than theirs? So what if the increase in strength was greater than theirs? The beast-tamer King Guguju sneered. Suyu's growth time was too short. It was so short that it was impossible for them to compete with him and the others. It wasn't a competition of beast-taming ability or demonic beast strength. It wasn't a competition of compatibility or increase in strength. They could forcefully ignore all these disadvantages and crush Suyu's group with their holy venerate strength alone. So what if the other party's beast-taming ability was stronger? 1 + 1 might not be greater than 2. But what about 1 + 3? What about 4? The coldness in the depths of the beast-taming King Valley's Valley Master's eyes reached the extreme. Charge! Break through their defense lines surrounding Luo Qingtong. You must kill Luo Qingtong. Boom! The beast-tamer King Guguju's roar rang out. In an instant, he and the people from the beast-tamer valley beside him rode on their respective demonic beasts and charged towards Suyu's group behind the Sky Yuan sect's defense line that was torn open by the people from the other sections. Suyu, the Grand Supreme Dean, fiercely wiped the blood on his face and wanted to return to defend with the people from the Sky Yuan sect to stop the beast-tamer King Guguju's group. However, the people from the other sects were stubbornly holding them back. A group of first-rate and second-rate sect leaders and elders attacked the Sky Yuan sect's sect master and the others with all their might. They were stubbornly holding back the Sky Yuan sect's sect master and the others. They didn't let them return to defend and help Suyu's group. These people from the other sects had already formed a blood feud with the Sky Yuan sect's Su Yu's group. Naturally, they couldn't let the latter and the others ruin the plans of the beast tamer King Guguju's group. After all, with the various abilities displayed by Luo Qingtong, if the other party didn't die, it would be them and the people from the beast tamer valley's turn to die. With such thoughts in mind, how could they dare to hold back? At that moment, he really used all his strength. Even if he couldn't kill the Heaven Branch sect master and the others, he couldn't let them obstruct beast tamer King Guguju and the others from killing Luo Qingtong. The Tian Yuan sect master and the others did not even have the chance to turn back, as they were held back by them. There weren't many people left on their side. Once they were killed, these sects would be able to join forces with the beast taming King's Valley to deal with Su Yu's group. As a result, the sect master and the others could only remain in a stalemate with the people from the other sections. They did not have the strength to assist Su Yu and the others. Seeing beast tamer King Guguju and the others rushing over, Su Yu and the others gripped their weapons tightly. Fight to the death. Don't retreat. As Su Yu's cold voice sounded, everyone waved their weapons in unison. With a boom, they urged their demonic beasts to charge towards beast tamer King Guguju and the others. Beast tamer King Guguju was right. Su Yu and the others' beast taming techniques were more advanced than theirs. Their beast taming skills were stronger than theirs. If they were at the same level, they could completely crush beast tamer King Guguju and the others. However, they had not had enough time to grow. Their current strength was not enough to deal with beast tamer King Guguju and the others. But so what? As long as one of them was here, beast tamer King Guguju and the others would not be able to take another step forward. Even if their swords and halberds were broken and their shields destroyed, they would not retreat even half a step, because what they were protecting behind them was something more important than their lives. Roar! Chapter 2168. Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others clashed with Su Yu and the others. The golden-winged great condors beneath them weren't willing to submit. Even though the fifth part of the beast-taming incantation had completely suppressed the clarity in their eyes, the depths of their souls were still subconsciously resisting the beast-taming King Valley's Valley Master and the others. They weren't able to fully cooperate with them. Facing the power of the heaven and earth contract emitted by Su Yu and the others, they subconsciously became restless and wanted to retreat. However, they were forcibly suppressed by Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others. Kill! Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others fiercely suppressed the golden-winged condors and the others' thoughts of resisting and retreating because of the heaven and earth contract. They forcibly suppressed them with their own strength. Then, they heavily clashed with Su Yu and the others. Pfft! Su Yu and the others spat out a mouthful of blood. They were instantly sent flying by the violent and terrifying power around Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others. The terrifying power that belonged to the Holy Venerate realm completely ignored the cooperation between Su Yu and the others and the contracted beasts. It forcefully mixed with the unwilling power of the golden-winged condors and violently blasted towards Su Yu and the others. Su Yu, everyone from the heavenly diabolism, little tyrant Yuan, and the others at the back watched with red eyes. However, they were the last line of defense around Luo Qingtong. They could not leave. They watched as Su Yu and the others spat out blood because of the huge difference in strength. Little tyrant Yuan and the others fiercely clenched their fingers. Bastard! Little tyrant Yuan's eyes were blood red. His eyes were as round as copper bells. Behind him, Su Xiaoxiao fiercely clenched the medicinal liquid in her hand that had already formed. Her face was pale. If Su Yu and the others could not stop them, then they would be the last line of defense around Luo Qingtong. Would his concoction be able to stop the beast-taming King Valley's Valley Master and the others? And even if it could, what about the people from the other sects? Boss, you have to quickly succeed in breaking through the contract. It doesn't matter if we die, but you have to live. As she thought, she could not help but look back at Luo Qingtong. The blood-red patterns on the ball of light around the latter had already spread by more than half. Her strength had also broken through to the peak of the Holy Spirit realm. Soon, Boss, you can do it. Su Xiaoxiao looked at Luo Qingtong, crying and laughing. Beast Tamer King Guguju. And the others spat out blood. And then the others. And Beast Tamer King forced, and the others and condors and spat out blood. And the others spat out blood and retreating and the others and in the. Didn't Luo Qingtong love her subordinates? There. S and the of them. Of use beasts, and many layers as sets lins. If they guess correctly, these people must have followed Luo Qingtong from the secular world. At first, they thought it was just a fake identity that Luo Qingtong used to sneak into the Sky Yuan sect, and did not pay much attention to it. After all, the girl's ability was so varied and extraordinary. How could she be from a barren place like the secular world? However, this depended on the relationship between the Sky Yuan sect and Luo Qingtong. This identity was probably not far from the truth. Then, to be able to come here from the secular world with Luo Qingtong, and increase their strength so much. How much effort did that bitch Luo Qingtong spend on them? If they killed them, that bitch Luo Qingtong would definitely be heartbroken, right? Beast Tamer King Guguju, and the others thought. They suddenly sneered and raised their hands. Chapter 2169. Boom! The golden-winged eagles under them suddenly froze. Bang! Before the Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others could react. In an instant, the golden-winged eagles and other beasts under them suddenly lifted up and broke free from their bodies. Then, as if they had been summoned by something, they gathered together and rushed toward the back. Bastards! What are you doing? Come back! The Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others were caught off guard. They were almost thrown to the ground by the golden-winged eagles and the others. Naturally, there was no way to launch the attack that had locked onto Su Yu and the others. They looked angrily at the backs of the golden-winged eagles and the others as they left. They raised their hands and made seals to summon them back to suppress them again. However, what they didn't expect was that their summons and suppression were ineffective. The golden-winged eagles and the others completely ignored their summons and suppression. What was going on? They were their contracted beasts. Under their strong suppression, what other choice did they have other than to obey orders? What was going on? While the Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others were indescribably flustered and exasperated, outside the center of the forbidden zone, She stood in the open space. Under her feet was a huge array that she had drawn with her own blood. Standing on this array, she pressed a drop of her heart's blood onto her forehead. In an instant, she completely activated the power of the beast mark of Zhuge 13 in her body. Using the secret method of the Zhuge family, she summoned the golden-winged eagles and the others. This kind of summoning was only temporary. When the power of the beast mark of inheritance in Yinshi's body was exhausted, the golden-winged eagles and the others would be controlled by the beast tamer King Guguju and the others again. But even so, being able to buy a little time was already a great help to Su Yu and the others. Because of the change in the golden-winged eagles and the others, the beast tamer King Guguju and the others panicked and didn't have time to deal with Su Yu and the others. Soon, the latter and the others regained their senses. Fiercely wiping away the blood at the corner of his mouth, Su Yu looked at the beast tamer King Guguju and the others with a wolf-like arrogance and ruthlessness. It was a vicious gaze that said that even if he had to die, he would still ruthlessly bite off a piece of the other party's flesh. Su Yu used to be such a wolf-like person. However, back then, the wolf had met someone worthy of loyalty and received the other party's love and respect. Therefore, it restrained its wolf nature slightly when it was beside the girl. But now, behind her was the person she swore to protect. Her wolf nature was completely unleashed. Stop them! Seeing that the beast tamer King Guguju and the others had failed to summon, and were about to rush forward to stop the golden-winged condor and the other beasts, Su Yu gave this order almost instantly without hesitation. She didn't know why these beasts retreated in an instant and completely ignored the orders of the beast tamer King Guguju and the others. However, this didn't prevent Su Yu from judging in an instant what was best and most beneficial for them. Boom! The beast tamer King Guguju and the others were blocked by Su Yu and the others in an instant, causing them to miss the best opportunity to stop the golden-winged condor and the others from leaving. Chapter 2170. In the end, they even injured a lot of people from other sects who tried to stop them and left the center of the forbidden area. Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others were furious. Bastards! You're all courting death. The golden-winged condor and the others were already far away from the center of the forbidden area. It was impossible to find them again. Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others were furious. They raised their hands and sent Suyu and the others flying along with their demonic beasts. Bastards! You bunch of trash are really as disgusting as that bitch Luo Qingtong. Do you think you can stop us from killing that bitch Luo Qingtong? Let me tell you, even without the golden-winged condor and the others, you still can't stop us. All of you get out of here. Beast Tamer King Guguju's face was full of hostility. The successive defeats, especially when facing Suyu and the others, made his heart irritable to the extreme. It was fine if they couldn't deal with that bitch Luo Qingtong. Who were Suyu and the others? Did they have the right to stop them? Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others were furious. The attacks in their hands were extremely violent as they blasted towards Suyu and the others. The latter and the others had already suffered heavy injuries when they were controlling the golden-winged condor and the others. At this moment, under the attacks of Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others, even with the demonic beasts under them helping to block some of the attacks, the terrifying power still sent them flying and vomiting blood. Cough cough puff. Suyu and the others coughed violently and fell to the ground. They spat out a mouthful of blood, but they still supported their demonic beasts and stood up with all their might. They said that unless they died, they wouldn't let the people of Beast Tamer King's Valley take a step forward. Unless they stepped on their corpses, the people of Beast Tamer King's Valley wouldn't be able to harm Luo Qingtong. Continue. Suyu looked coldly in the direction of Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others. The gazes of the latter and the others were filled with ferocity and malice. A bunch of bastards. The Beast Tamer King Guguju's voice was cold. Since you want to die for that bitch, Luo Qingtong, then die. As Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others spoke, they once again launched attacks at Suyu and the others. Boom boom boom. The violent and terrifying power of a paragon venerate suddenly blasted towards Suyu and the others. At this moment, Suyu and the others had just gotten up from the ground. They hadn't even stabilized themselves yet. Suyu. The eyes of little Overlord Yuan and the others instantly turned red when they saw that the attacks were about to land on Suyu and the others. The Grand Supreme Dean and the others also saw this scene at this moment. They desperately tried to rush over, but they couldn't. They were completely surrounded by the people of the other sections. The latter and the others blocked their way, not allowing them to move even a little bit, let alone support Suyu and the others. Seeing that the attacks were about to drown Suyu and the others, the people of the Heavenly Yuan sect were instantly filled with grief. Suyu. Once Suyu and the others fell, only little Overlord Yuan and the others would be left to protect Luo Qingtong. The consequences would be unimaginable. Everyone was filled with despair as they thought about it. At this moment, boom. Chapter 2171. The violent attacks from the beast-taming King Valley's Valley Master and the others were all blocked by that person. The latter's figure kept retreating, but the berserk attacks did not send it flying. What? Seeing this scene, the pupils of Guguju and the others shrank fiercely. At this moment, a voice suddenly rang out. Ah! Hurry hurry hurry! We finally made it! Little Pig stood on top of the great Yong Saint's corpse puppet and sighed with emotion. We finally made it! Oh my god! It's 4 little hooves, yo! They're almost bald from running. Beat them up! Little Pig lifted his short and fat front hooves and pointed at Guguju and the others. After receiving Little Pig's order, the great Yong Saint corpse puppet instantly rushed toward Guguju and the others. Its strength had already reached the holy venerable realm. Although it had suffered a lot of injuries from the attacks of Guguju and the others, it was still a holy venerable. But it was a corpse puppet. It was not afraid of pain or injuries. Unless its core was completely destroyed, It would not be able to exert its strength even if its limbs were broken. At this moment, it suddenly rushed toward Guguju and the others, turning the tables on Suyu and the others. After all, although Guguju and the others had the advantage in numbers, they were all powerful. But the great young Saint Corpse puppet alone was enough to restrain them all. In addition, Suyu and the others attacked and harassed them. In an instant, Guguju and the others felt as if they had fallen into a swamp and could not move a single step. Bastard! Seeing their attacks being blocked by the great young Saint Corpse puppet again and again, the latter was not afraid of pain or injuries, and its strength did not show any signs of weakening. Guguju and the others were furious. The beast-taming King Valley Master's heart was filled with rage. He recognized the great young Saint Corpse puppet. Wasn't it the Een corpse that had been guarding Luo Qingtong in the cave in Shattered Star Valley? Because of its existence, Guguju and the others' attacks were blocked several times. Otherwise, even if Luo Qingtong could escape from them, she would have to pay a price. Previously, they did not see it clearly, but later on from its injuries, they realized it was the Een corpse. When they thought of how Luo Qingtong could control Een corpses, their hearts trembled for a long time. Now not only did the Een corpse not die, but its strength also reached the holy venerable realm. Luo Qingtong, that bitch, had a great opportunity after the cave collapse. That must be it. Then did that mean that the weak woman beside her didn't die either? Thinking up to this point, the beast-taming King Valley Master finally knew where their contracted beasts went. It must be the girl who had inherited the beast mark and summoned them away. The other party's beast mark was of a higher level than theirs, and her beast-taming technique was stronger than theirs. Naturally, she could easily summon their contracted beasts away. Damn it! Why did that bitch Luo Qingtong have so many trump cards by her side? Thinking of this, Guguju's heart was about to explode. He looked in the direction of Luo Qingtong. He saw that the girl's strength had already reached the holy venerable realm, and the blood-red pattern on the light ball beside her had already spread more than half. If this continued, she would succeed. No, he must not let her succeed. Chapter 2172. He grabbed an elder of the beast-taming King Valley and stuffed something into the elder's mouth before he could react. The elder of the beast-taming King Valley was forced to swallow the food in his mouth before he knew what was going on. Valley Master? He looked at the beast-tamer King Guguju, and his expression changed. Valley Master, what did you feed me? Ah. As soon as the words left his mouth, his expression became incomparably ferocious and pained. A series of growling sounds came from his body. Then, countless tentacle-like things sprouted from the elder's body. Rows of spikes protruded from his back. Ah, roar! His voice was sharp and miserable. Then, it suddenly turned into a roar like that of a wild beast. This elder of the beast-taming King Valley had mutated. It's the immortal jade bone. It's the immortal jade bone. The other higher-ups of the beast-taming King Valley turned pale when they saw the change in the elder's body. They were all too familiar with his appearance. Didn't those demonic beasts that had swallowed the immortal jade bones become like this, neither human nor ghost? Valley Master. They looked at the beast-tamer King Guguju in shock. Even Elder Dark and the others turned to look at the beast-taming King Valley Master. Was he crazy? Why would he attack his own people at this time? However, the beast-taming King Valley's Valley Master's words caused their expressions to turn serious. Luo Qingtong, that bitch, is about to complete her contract breakthrough. If we don't stop her, we might all die here. Are you willing to let a portion of us die here? Or are you willing to let all of us die here? As he spoke, he tossed the beast-taming King Valley Elder towards Suyu and the others. Seeing his actions, Elder Dark and the others instantly understood what he was thinking. It turned out that Guguju wanted to use a portion of them to stop Suyu and the rest. Or rather, to stop the corpse puppet from Great Yong. After mutating, the beast-tamer Valley Elder went berserk and began to wreak havoc in the middle of Suyu and the rest. He directly pounced towards the corpse puppet that posed the greatest threat to him. Eldarin and the rest were speechless. On the other hand, the expressions of the weakest elders in the beast-taming King Valley changed drastically. This was because the few of them were clearly the best candidates to be sacrificed. Valley Master, Elder and don't. The weakest elders of the beast-taming King Valley didn't even have the chance to escape before they were captured by the Valley Master. After feeding them a large amount of immortal jade bones, they were thrown to Su Yu and the others. After being fed with the immortal jade bones, the mutated elders had lost all rationality and were only acting on instinct. Their strength had increased greatly, almost breaking through to the venerable realm. They all rushed towards Su Yu and the rest. This was because their instinct was to attack everyone in the vicinity. Among them, the corpse puppet that posed the greatest threat was the Great Young Saint. Without any hesitation, they charged towards the Great Young Saint corpse puppet. Roar! Chapter 2173. Beast Tamer King Guguju, and the others gave a sinister smile when they saw this. They looked in Luo Qingtong's direction and sneered. Slut, let's see what method you have to stop us now. The Yin corpse was already pinned down by them. In this kind of situation, Su Yu's group and the people around her had no way of stopping them. Luo Qingtong, that slut, was dead for sure. Without any hesitation, Beast Tamer King Guguju and the Dark Elders group leaped forward and rushed towards Luo Qingtong's direction. On the way, Su Yu's group tried their best to stop them, but the difference in strength was too big. They were all sent flying by the attack. Pung! Beast Tamer King Guguju stomped Su Yu to the ground. Looking at the other party's unyielding, stubborn and aloof gaze, he laughed coldly. You really are Luo Qingtong's good dog. His voice was ice cold. Originally, I wanted to kill all of you so that Luo Qingtong, that be *TCH, would be heartbroken when she wakes up. But now I've changed my mind. He sneered as he looked at Su Yu's unyielding gaze and said, Since you're so loyal to that slut Luo Qingtong, I'll let you see with your own eyes how that slut will die without a burial ground in our hands. At that time, I'll watch you die with hatred and bitterness. Beast Tamer King Guguju laughed loudly as he said this. These ant-like people, for that slut Luo Qingtong, actually dared to challenge their dignity. Beast Tamer King Guguju was a first-class master of the Great Mason Forest and a peak saint venerable expert. In the hidden world, he could call the wind and summon the rain, arrogant and domineering. For people like Su Yu and the others, he was usually too lazy to even look at them. But just now, this group of ant-like people, relying on the various trump cards and benefits that Luo Qingtong gave them, they made him suffer one loss after another. In the end, they even had to throw away their own sex elders to open a path for them to break through their defensive line. To Beast Tamer King Guguju, this was a great shame and humiliation for him. He actually suffered such a big loss at the hands of these people, who were like ants that he could easily trample to death. Beast Tamer King Guguju's face became distorted as he thought about it. Letting these people die like this was too easy for them. Didn't they want to protect Luo Qingtong? Then let them see how that slut Luo Qingtong would die at their hands. How did the treasure that she wanted end up in his hands? Beast Tamer King Guguju's face was extremely cold as he thought about it. He lifted his leg and kicked Su Yu to one side. When he spoke, he had already rushed towards him without caring about anything else. The aura in his body was frantically mobilized, and he was about to explode. However, since Beast Tamer King Guguju wanted to let them watch Luo Qingtong suffer, how could he let them die so easily? He had already prepared for this move of theirs. Su Yu had just mobilized the aura in his body when he felt a sharp pain in his dantian. When Beast Tamer King Guguju made his move, he had already mixed a wisp of his aura into his attack and blasted it into the bodies of the heavenly diabolism and the aura in their dantian. Chapter 2174. You want to blow yourself up? Beast Tamer King Guguju sneered. Leading the Dark Elder and the others, he strode past Su Yu and the others, who were lying on the ground, unable to move. You guys just stay here and watch how Luo Qingtong dies. When Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others arrived, only little Overlord Yuan, Su Xiaoxiao and the others were left by Luo Qingtong's side. This group of young men and women, who met Luo Qingtong in the Tianyu Empire, followed behind Luo Qingtong and witnessed the splendor and prosperity of this world that originally did not belong to them. They also witnessed the great changes of the four great sacred dynasties of the eastern region. They rose from humble beginnings and met Luo Qingtong as trash. Their lives, which should have been incomparably miserable, had undergone earth-shaking changes because of Luo Qingtong's existence. This group of people knew that they were lucky. They also knew that without this luck, they would not be qualified to follow Luo Qingtong at all. The girl protected them, and protected them as they grew up. She said that if they could not keep up, she would not wait for them. But boss, you gave us so many opportunities and resources. How could we not keep up? People said that evil Dr. Ghost I was unrestrained and arrogant, cold and ruthless, and his methods were ruthless. But what they saw was the cold-hearted and ruthless. If you don't leave, I won't abandon you. It was the arrogant and unrestrained. No one is allowed to touch my people. It was the ruthless. My benefactors will flourish for 3 generations. My enemies will be returned 1,000 times over. It was the deep affection that gave them a sense of belonging and security after they called her boss. In this world, perhaps there were many people who came because of their achievements as geniuses and experts. But when they were weak and helpless, there was only one Luo Qingtong, who reached out her slender hand to them, pulled them out of the abyss, and helped them become dragons. Get ready, little Overlord Yuan said calmly. He took the lead and stood in front of Su Xiaoxiao. The others didn't say a word. They all stood by his side, surrounding Su Xiaoxiao in the middle. With their strength, they had no chance of winning against Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others. They did not step forward to fight to the death with Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others. Instead, it was to cover Su Xiaoxiao when she released the bottle of liquid medicine at a close distance. Su Xiaoxiao's combat ability as a pharmacist was getting stronger and stronger. Her ability to concoct medicinal liquids in battle was also getting better and better. Even she didn't know how much power this bottle of liquid concocted from the mythological beast flowing light and the spiritual chi light pillars could exert. Could they kill the Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others? But it was better than them trying to stop the enemy. Luo Qingtong was about to succeed. Even if they died, they had to hold on a little longer for Luo Qingtong. Tisk, overestimating yourselves. Seeing their actions, the hearts of Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others were filled with coldness and disdain. What did the people around Luo Qingtong think they were? It was true that any random cat or dog wanted to find some sense of existence on them. Did they really think that Luo Qingtong was a god? Forget about Su Yu and the others from before. With the abilities of a beast tamer and the cooperation of the demonic beasts around them, they could at least exchange a few blows with them. But what did the group of young men and women in front of them have? Chapter 2175. Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others looked gloomy, feeling like they were being looked down upon and humiliated. The people around that bitch Luo Qingtong were really as arrogant and condescending as she was. However, arrogance without strength was even worse than stupidity. Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others sneered and rushed toward little tyrant Yuan and the others. Let's just torture and kill this group of people. Anyway, Su Yu and the others have already come to make Luo Qingtong suffer. Thinking so, they looked at little tyrant Yuan and the others with unspeakable ruthlessness. At this moment, Little Pig had just rushed out of the encirclement of the great Yong Saint corpse puppet by the group of mutated Beast Tamer King Valley elders. Seeing this scene, she was so scared that her 2 little ears instantly stood up. Oh my god! The people of Beast Tamer King Valley were so close to killing Luo Qingtong. No, this can't go on like this. He had to hurry to Luo Qingtong's side. Little Pig couldn't change back to his original form alone. He still needed Luo Qingtong's blood and the contract mark to unseal. Thinking of this, he hurriedly rushed toward Luo Qingtong like a bolt of lightning. At this moment, little tyrant Yuan and the others also faced off against Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others. Seeing that Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others had already rushed in front of them, little tyrant Yuan's petrification soul seal was activated to the extreme. His skin instantly became as hard as granite. Under his activation, the skin all over his body even made cracking sounds. That was little tyrant Yuan's petrification soul seal being activated to the extreme, almost tearing his skin apart. Behind little tyrant Yuan and the others, Ling Tianhan, Sima Ju, and the others were all ready. Boom! The moment beast tamer King Guguju and the others rushed in front of them, Su Xiaoxiao released the medicinal liquid in her hand. The medicinal liquid needed 1 or 2 breaths of time to activate. And this was the reason why little Overlord Yuan and the others had prepared. Bastard! Beast tamer King Guguju and the others felt a dangerous aura the moment Su Xiaoxiao waved her hand. Their faces were filled with shock and anger. They didn't expect that Su Xiaoxiao, who looked delicate and weak, and whose strength was even the weakest among Yuan Little Overlord and the others, could actually make them feel a sense of danger from the aura emanating from her hands. What was that? Everyone was shocked. Almost without thinking, they aimed all their attacks at Su Xiaoxiao. However, the latter was protected behind Little Overlord Yuan and the others. When Beast Tamer King Guguju and the others attacked, Yuan Little Overlord took the lead to meet them. Pung pung pung. The skin all over his body exploded into pieces of blood clots. The skin that was as hard as granite all shattered in an instant, revealing his flesh and bones. Yuan Little Overlord cried out in pain, but his feet on the ground were like 2 iron pliers, fiercely clamping the ground. He didn't retreat a single step. Behind him, Sima Ju, Ling Tianhan, and the others followed behind him and released their own attacks, clashing with the attacks of the beast-taming King Valley's Valley Master and the others. Pung pung pung. When their attacks collided with the attacks of beast-tamer King Guguju and the others, they couldn't match at all and shattered inch by inch. But it bought Su Xiaoxiao the most precious time. Boom! As Yuan Little Overlord and Ling Tianhan were bombarded to the point of vomiting blood and kneeling on the ground, their bodies exploded into bloody figures. Chapter 2176. The medicinal liquid's aura wafted out. In an instant, the beast-taming King Valley members who had rushed past Little Overlord Yuan and the others to kill Su Xiaoxiao let out miserable cries. They screamed miserably, and with a bang, they collapsed in front of Su Xiaoxiao and the others, turning into skeletons. That was the divine beast flowing light's power. Su Xiaoxiao had fused it with the aura of the spiritual qi and the medicinal herbs in her hands to refine this bottle of medicinal liquid. Even Saint Venerables would be corroded by the medicinal liquid's aura. Once it entered their bodies, they would never be able to escape. And Su Xiaoxiao and the others were also infected by the medicinal liquid's aura. Pfft! Su Xiaoxiao spat out a mouthful of blood. She had already concocted the corresponding antidote for herself, Little Overlord Yuan, and the others. But just as she had guessed before, the medicinal liquid's aura was too strong, and it had already surpassed her control. The antidote she concocted could not dissolve the divine beast flowing light's power, but could only slow it down. Watching their palms and feet slowly turn into bones, Su Xiaoxiao and the others strangely did not feel any sadness in their hearts. They had finally protected Luo Qingtong. Boss, did you see that? I really became your personal combat pharmacist. I did it. Su Xiaoxiao looked in Luo Qingtong's direction with tears in her eyes. She was sad and happy at the same time. All her strength in this life came after she met Luo Qingtong. The girl taught her self-confidence and self-improvement. She taught her how to use her talent. How did she go from being a useless pharmacist, who was disliked by everyone, to becoming a pharmacist genius? It was a pity that Luo Qingtong could not see her strongest moment in her life. Su Xiaoxiao's face was both crying and laughing. At this moment, an incomparably cold voice rang out from a distance in front of them. Bitch! The beast-tamer King Guguju was standing not far away. In each of his hands was an elder of the beast-taming King's Valley, and he was hiding himself behind the group of elders. When Su Xiaoxiao had waved her hand, because he had suffered too much in the hands of Luo Qingtong, he didn't charge forward with the rest of the beast-taming King's Valley. Instead, he grabbed the 2 beast-taming King's Valley members and retreated. Under such circumstances, he managed to survive in the medicinal liquid that Su Xiaoxiao had just created. Furthermore, he was completely unharmed. Bastard! The veins on Guguju's forehead bulged. He looked at the dead bodies of Elder N and the others, and his face was twisted with malevolence. These people around Luo Qingtong were really hard to deal with. Even among these weak young men and women, there was a hidden genius in alchemy like Su Xiaoxiao. A medicinal liquid defeated all the experts of the beast-taming King's Valley. If word got out, others would think that this was a fantasy. But now, all of this was over. The beast-tamer King Guguju's face was dark and ruthless. He threw away the corpses of the two beast-taming King's Valley elders in his hands, and rushed towards Luo Qingtong behind Su Xiaoxiao, and the others like a gust of wind. As for Su Xiaoxiao and the others who were slowly turning into white bones, their limbs unable to move, they could die miserably like this. The beast-tamer King Guguju didn't even look at them. Chapter 2177. He dashed toward Luo Qingtong, who was inside the light pillar. At the same time, Little Pig had also reached Luo Qingtong's side. Oh my god! Hurry up! Seeing beast-tamer King Guguju dashing toward them, and Luo Qingtong being defenseless, Little Pig's ears were shaking so hard that they were about to fall off. As long as he could reach Luo Qingtong's side, he would be able to unlock the seal on his main body. At that time, he would slap him to death. Anyway, the sector beast was already in his hands. If the land of the deceased immortals was gone, so be it. However, just as Little Pig was thinking this, bang! Oh my god! Little Pig fell head first into the huge light pillar that surrounded Luo Qingtong. The surrounding spiritual energy hurricane was raging, but it had no effect on Luo Qingtong's body. Instead, it sent Little Pig flying. Little Pig was dumbfounded by this flick. What's going on? That light pillar didn't allow him to rush in. If he couldn't rush in and get close to Luo Qingtong, how was he going to deal with beast-tamer King Guguju? Little Pig was instantly dumbfounded. He didn't expect this at all. Before Luo Qingtong, he had never heard of anyone who could form a contract with the sector beast. Of course, even if there was, no one would know. Therefore, Little Pig had no idea that the light pillar wouldn't let him get close. Was it because Luo Qingtong was in the process of forming a contract with the sector beast? Or was it because the sector beast was about to be born? If it was the latter, then he was doomed. He couldn't get close to beast-tamer King Guguju, but Luo Qingtong would be in danger. Just as Little Pig's heart was in his mouth, beast-tamer King Guguju had already rushed to Luo Qingtong. Ha ha ha, Luo Qingtong! You bitch, let's see how you're going to block this. Beast-tamer King Guguju directly sent a palm strike towards Luo Qingtong. Little Pig panicked when he saw Tang Wulin's palm break through the range of the light beam and directly attack Luo Qingtong. F***CK, F***CK, F***CK. He really didn't want it to get close. It's over, it's over. Master. Ow ow ow. Little Pig began to squeal. It desperately pounced in the direction of Luo Qingtong. No, you have to wake up. Do not contract with that break-world beast. I'm going to die. Little Pig originally thought that as long as he was here, even if he had to destroy the land of the deceased immortals, nothing would happen to Luo Qingtong. The latter probably thought the same. That was why he was so assured in signing the contract. Because as long as Su Yu and the others could hold on for a while, he would be able to rush over. At that time, they could easily crush the beast-tamer King Guguju and the others. However, who would have thought that this break-world beast, damn it, was so troublesome when it came out? It actually didn't allow him to get close. He couldn't get close to Luo Qingtong because he couldn't unseal her aura. Damn it, he couldn't change back to his original form. Ah! It's over. Yi Qianming, come quickly. Just as Little Pig was screaming anxiously in his heart, outside the land of the deceased immortals, Yi Qianming suddenly raised his head and looked towards the center of the forbidden area, where Luo Qingtong was. Just as the energy around the man's body stirred and was about to rush out Shua. Chapter 2178. Her right hand was firmly pressed on the huge ball of light. The blood-red lines on it were spinning rapidly and had already spread to 90% of the ball of light. There was still nearly 10% left, but it was already too late. Luo Qingtong. Looking at the girl who had opened her eyes, the beast tamer King Guguju was indescribably proud and cold. How is it? You didn't expect this, did you? Your subordinates still couldn't stop me. You have indeed trained them well. They were able to withstand our attacks with their weak bodies. If not for the fact that they have only grown for a short period of time, and are not strong enough, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to get close to you this time. But it's too late to say anything now, he said ferociously. Just give me your life. By the way, the ball of light in your hand is also mine. The beast tamer King Guguju laughed wildly as he spoke. The power around his body surged wildly, combined with the majestic power of the spiritual energy light pillars around him. It surged almost unscrupulously. Then, with an extremely powerful and overwhelming power, it violently blasted towards Luo Qingtong. Bitch die! Seeing the vast and violent power rushing towards Luo Qingtong like a surging wave, Suyu Su Xiao Xiao, and the others all shouted themselves hoarse. Master! Boss! They desperately wanted to rush towards Luo Qingtong. However, they were either seriously injured or about to turn into white bones. Before they could even take a step forward, they had already fallen heavily to the ground. Master! Boss! The crowd looked towards the place where Luo Qingtong was, with tears of blood flowing from their eyes. When the people from the Sky Yuan sect heard their voices, they immediately turned to look in their direction. Seeing the beast tamer King Guguju's attack towards Luo Qingtong, their pupils suddenly shrank fiercely. Evil Dr. Brat! The Grand Supreme Dean was already covered with injuries. It was already not easy for them to hold on, until now under the attacks of the various sections. At this moment, seeing that Luo Qingtong failed to contract successfully, and was instead killed by the beast tamer King Guguju, everyone's eyes were instantly filled with uncontrollable grief and despair. Evil Dr. Brat! The Grand Supreme Dean madly rushed towards Luo Qingtong's direction. When the people who had been desperately trying to stop them, seeing that Luo Qingtong was about to be killed by the beast tamer King Guguju on the spot, they were too lazy to stop the Grand Supreme Dean and the others. Even if the people from the Sky Yuan sect rushed over, it would be too late. Luo Qingtong's dead. Unless there was a miracle and Luo Qingtong immediately broke through the contract. But how was this possible? Everyone could clearly see that Luo Qingtong was still close to 10% away from successfully forming the contract. The top part of the light ball, where the outer shell was broken, had not been covered by those blood-red veins. And that was the most important part. That was where the little guy in the light ball was. Without covering that part, the contract could not be completed. Luo Qingtong was dead. While they were thinking this, Luo Qingtong looked coldly at the beast tamer King Guguju's attack in the light beam. Who said they didn't block you? Chapter 2179. No one has done a better job than them. Luo Qingtong's voice rang out. In an instant, Suyu, Su Xiaoxiao and the rest's tears flowed even more violently. They obviously didn't do that well, but Luo Qingtong had never blamed them. Even at this time, she was still comforting them, saying that they had done a good enough job. Suyu Su Xiaoxiao and the rest's eyes were completely choked with sobs. Master Boss! Everyone's hearts were filled with unbearable grief. When beast tamer King Guguju heard Luo Qingtong's words, he immediately sneered with disdain. Luo Qingtong, what tricks are you up to now? Deliberately mystifying things. Whatever you say, even if it's a deluge of heavenly flowers, this time I won't hold back at all. Beast tamer King Guguju sneered at Luo Qingtong. This woman, did she think that after suffering so many losses at her hands, he would fall for her trick again? Speak. Continue to let her speak. Beast tamer King Guguju sneered. Even if a flower came out of her mouth, the power of his attack would not be reduced in the slightest. Let's see how Luo Qingtong would dodge his attack this time. The contract imprint on that huge ball of light was still 10% incomplete. Luo Qingtong would definitely not be able to complete it in the time it took for his palm to land. She was dead for sure. Even if she didn't die, she would immediately retreat and dodge his attack. Then, this huge ball of light would fall into his hands. At that time, he would drip his essence blood on it, and immediately take over Luo Qingtong's incomplete contract imprint. Once he formed a contract with this ball of light, wouldn't Luo Qingtong and the rest die all the same? The beast tamer King Guguju was very pleased with himself. He was certain that Luo Qingtong would die no matter what she did. There was absolutely no possibility of escaping again. This time, he wanted to kill her with his own hands. Then, he would chop her into minced meat and force the people around her to eat. Not only could he ruthlessly torture these people and let them know the consequences of going against him, but he could also make Luo Qingtong completely die without a burial place. This time, she would never be able to escape like she did in the Broken Star Valley. Thinking of this, the beast tamer King Guguju's eyes shone with a cruel light. He looked at Luo Qingtong as if he was looking at a helpless lamb waiting to be slaughtered. In his mind, he was already thinking about how to ruthlessly torture and kill Luo Qingtong. Let her and the people around her know the meaning of grief, despair, and heartbreak. Boom! The beast tamer King Guguju's attack was unceasingly bombarded in the direction of Luo Qingtong. That violent and terrifying power, which hid a cold murderous intent, rushed towards Luo Qingtong. Looking at his attack, Luo Qingtong's eyes were extremely cold. Idiot! Looking at the beast tamer King Guguju's eyes, Luo Qingtong suddenly sneered. Her eyes were full of disdain and contempt. Who told you that I let them block in front of me to buy time and successfully form a contract? Luo Qingtong's eyes were full of coldness. Chapter 2180. She didn't know where Little Pig, Yin Shi, and the Great Young Saint Corpse Puppet had gone. She also didn't know when they would arrive. How could Luo Qingtong allow Su Yu and the others to risk their lives just to successfully contract with the Sector Beast? Who knew how long it would take to contract with the Sector Beast? Would there be any unforeseen circumstances during the process? Luo Qingtong could put her life in the hands of Su Yu and the others, but she wouldn't put her life in the hands of the contract with the Sector Beast. She let Su Yu and the others block for her and stall for time for a completely different reason. Life and Death Yin Yang Sword. Just before the palm of the beast tamer King Guguju was about to hit her, Luo Qingtong's voice suddenly rose. In the next second, the Life and Death Yin Yang Sword, which was black and white and had a fierce aura, appeared in front of her. Swoosh! When the Life and Death Yin Yang Sword appeared, Luo Qingtong's mind suddenly moved. In an instant her mind moved at will. The Life and Death Yin Yang Sword and her soul were in pain. Suddenly she raised it up. An incomparably vast and fierce aura instantly spread out from the Life and Death Yin Yang Sword. In an instant, the black and white longsword's color turned into a deep black. The Death Blade was activated. Heaven-conquering art annihilation. Now Luo Qingtong had the strength of a holy venerable. Although she had just broken through to the holy venerable realm, her aura was still very unstable. However, she was indeed already a holy exalted. Combined with the power of the Death Blade and the heaven-conquering art's annihilation attack, the majestic power of the Life and Death Yin Yang Sword in front of Luo Qingtong was not inferior to that of the beast tamer King Guguju. Boom! The power of the sword carried a vast power of death. It kept colliding and annihilating along the way, blocking the palm of the beast tamer King Guguju. At the same time, Luo Qingtong's right index finger, which was pressed on the ball of light, broke the shell of the ball of light and stabbed into the ball of light. Poochie! Her hand was completely submerged into the ball of light. Seeing this, the expressions of the beast tamer King Guguju and the others all changed. B***starred. B***tch, what are you doing? The beast tamer King Guguju's face was full of exasperation. He didn't expect Luo Qingtong to be able to use the Life and Death Yin Yang Sword to make such a powerful and terrifying attack, and directly blocked his attack. Damn it! That sword's a weapon. Otherwise, a normal weapon could be controlled a weapon. S.A. Swords Guguju was. Luo's was Lin. Tessa T's Goose? S. T's. S. B's. S. the. S. S's God. She was trying her best to break through its shell. With Luo Qingtong's attack, the weapon of light would be born in advance. Luo Qingtong, that be***tch, had ruined his chance of obtaining the weapon of light. Ah! The beast tamer King Guguju's face turned black and white in an instant. His face was as cold as a ghost's. Luo Qingtong you be asterisk tisich die. As he spoke, he suddenly flew into a rage and pounced on Luo Qingtong. Chapter 2181. Had she destroyed his chance to obtain this treasure? She had indeed destroyed his chance. Because this treasure was destined to be hers. Boom! When beast tamer King Guguju pounced toward Luo Qingtong, the girl's blood-red eyes suddenly shone brightly. In just an instant, Luo Qingtong looked like a demon. That pair of blood-red demon eyes were at their limit. The blood-red light inside was like an incomparable sea of blood and purgatory. It was boundless and almost drowned the world. In Luo Qingtong's blood-red eyes, the scene inside the huge ball of light suddenly appeared. Just now, Luo Qingtong had asked Su Yu and the others to resist while she devoted herself to it. It was not to successfully contract with the sector beast, but to be able to operate her eye technique and see the scene inside the ball of light clearly. Now, she finally broke through the power of the universe that covered the ball of light and saw the scene inside clearly. Boom! Luo Qingtong's mind power pierced into the huge ball of light like a sharp sword and easily found the little thing inside the ball of light. The little thing was following the power ripples in the ball of light and was rapidly descending from the top where the thin film was. It was about to leave through the hole that Luo Qingtong had broken open. However, Luo Qingtong's mind power stopped it at this moment. At the same time, the life and death yin-yang sword rapidly transformed into the shape of a living blade. Almost instantly, it rushed into the hole that Luo Qingtong had broken into the ball of light and rushed toward the little thing inside the ball of light. Chirp, chirp, chirp. When the little thing saw Luo Qingtong's life and death yin-yang sword rushing toward it, it almost subconsciously dodged to the side. The space inside the ball of light was huge, and it was only a small lump. If it wasn't facing Luo Qingtong, it could easily dodge and rush out of the hole that Luo Qingtong had created. However, Luo Qingtong had already used her blood-red eyes to lock onto its movements. How could she let it dodge? As soon as it moved, the direction of the life and death yin-yang sword instantly changed. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The little thing dodged left and right for a while. When it realized that it really couldn't dodge Luo Qingtong's attack, it suddenly became anxious and hurriedly cried out loudly. At this moment, Luo Qingtong's cold voice rang out. Submit to me or die. That's right. This was Luo Qingtong's real motive. She wanted the sector beast to voluntarily submit to her. Like the sector beast, a godly creature of the universe was the same as a godly beast. It wasn't so easy for a cultivator to form a contract with it. However, if it voluntarily submitted and signed a contract with a cultivator, then the contract would be formed immediately. From the very beginning, Luo Qingtong had planned to make the sector beast voluntarily submit to her. In this world, she never believed in luck or fluke. She only believed in her own strength. She wanted the sector beast. She also wanted the lives of beast tamer King Guguju and the others. Chirp, chirp, chirp. When Luo Qingtong's voice rang out, the little thing, which was already incomparably close to the life and death yin-yang sword, suddenly nodded vigorously. Boom! The moment it nodded its head, Yi Zichen nodded. On the light shell, 10% of the white area was instantly covered by the blood-red lines. Chapter 2182. How is this possible? The people from the various sects who were waiting for Luo Qingtong to be killed by the beast tamer King Valley's Valley Master couldn't believe their eyes when they saw the blood-red patterns on the huge ball of light. How was this possible? There was still 10% of progress left. How could Luo Qingtong complete it in an instant? They were still saying that unless a miracle happened, Luo Qingtong would be dead for sure. But now a miracle really happened. Everyone's eyes widened. They didn't know what was going on. They only saw Luo Qingtong break the huge ball of light, and then the contract was completed. Could it be that the treasure in the contract was actually very simple? Just break the shell, and it would be done. But after breaking the shell, the treasure inside came out and ran away. How could Luo Qingtong succeed in the contract? Not only that, this speed was simply heaven-defying. Everyone was shocked to the extreme. They couldn't figure out what was going on no matter how hard they racked their brains. Beast Tamer King Guguju, who was rushing towards Luo Qingtong, was also shocked when he saw the contract brand suddenly completed. "No, this is impossible," he screamed. He couldn't accept what was happening in front of him. How was this possible? Luo Qingtong was obviously going to die. After breaking the huge ball of light, the treasure inside should have come out and left. And without that treasure, even if Luo Qingtong's strength increased, she wouldn't be a match for them. He naturally had countless ways to kill her. She shouldn't think of leaving here alive. When the time came, he would chop her into 8 pieces to vent the hatred in his heart. Then he would mercilessly torture those related to her to death. But how did Luo Qingtong succeed in the contract? The beast-taming King Valley's Valley Master's eyes were bulging out of their sockets due to excessive shock. She looked exactly like a goldfish with its eyes rolled up. Boom! While his face was filled with shock, Luo Qingtong's aura also shook violently. That little fellow took the initiative to submit to her. After forming a contract with her, Luo Qingtong regained her freedom. At the same time, her strength as a newly ascended paragon also soared. Boom! Luo Qingtong's power directly broke through to the peak of the Holy Venerate realm with the help of the little fellow's power. Bang! Luo Qingtong raised her hand. In the blink of an eye, he caught Beast Tamer King Guguju's punch. The latter was at the pinnacle of the hidden world, and his strength was far above that of an ordinary Holy Venerate. However, in front of Luo Qingtong, he could not even withstand a single blow. Luo Qingtong did not even use the power of the life and death yin-yang sword. She only used one hand to catch Beast Tamer King Guguju's attack. The corners of her lips curled up coldly. The curve of her lips was unusually cold and evil. Beast Tamer King Guguju, did you have fun just now? Did it feel good to beat up my people? When you were chasing after me, you must have felt very good in your heart, right? Luo Qingtong chuckled. She looked at Beast Tamer King Guguju. The light in her eyes was like a boundless sea of blood rippling. When Beast Tamer King Guguju saw the blood-red color in her eyes, his heart could not help but violently contract. That powerful and terrifying feeling almost drowned him completely, making him unable to breathe. Chapter 2183. Yu. He looks at Luo Qingtong in shock. The girl in front of him is like a demon, The Beast Tamer King Guguju has seen a lot of experts in his life. When he was young, he also met a lot of experts who were many times stronger than him. And he also experienced being hunted down. At that time, he wasn't as strong as he is now, and he also experienced several life and death situations. But no one has ever given him such a terrible feeling of fear like Luo Qingtong. It's like he's not facing a person at this moment, but an Azura from the boundless purgatory, a bloody sea of hell. How strong does a person's aura have to be like Luo Qingtong, able to make people tremble in fear with just her aura alone? How high does a person's former status have to be like Luo Qingtong? As if a gentle glance is already irresistible, like the arrival of a king. Even that Star Alliance Palace Master from the Star Alliance Palace, who has the power of the Venerable Realm, didn't make the Beast Tamer King Guguju so scared. Luo Qingtong, what is her identity? A girl from the secular world? To hell with the secular world. How can a place like the secular world cultivate a girl with such an extraordinary aura, like Luo Qingtong? Like the arrival of a king. Not to mention her terrifying talent and ability, as well as the endless trump cards and treasures on her body. The other party is definitely not as simple as a person from the secular world. The Beast Tamer King Guguju's heart trembles. He looks at Luo Qingtong, his throat rolling violently. The sweat on his forehead seeps out densely, dripping down along his temples. The Beast Tamer King Guguju has been struggling with all his might. However, his hand is firmly grasped in Luo Qingtong's hand, as if it's been soldered to death. No matter how hard the Beast Tamer King Guguju struggles, he can't move the slightest bit. Luo Qingtong's strength had actually reached such a level. One must know that Luo Qingtong and the Beast Taming King Valley Master were both at the peak of the Holy Venerate realm. As for the Beast Tamer King Guguju, He had been in this realm for who knows how many years. Whether it was in terms of experience, strength, it was not something an ordinary peak holy venerate expert could compare to. And Luo Qingtong's strength had only just increased. Other than the fact that his strength was on par with his, everything else should be inferior to his. However, the situation was the exact opposite. He had been stuck at the peak of the heavenly venerable realm for God knows how many years, but he was still inferior to Luo Qingtong, who had just broken through to the heavenly venerable realm, and had even leaped several realms in succession. What kind of fantasy was this? If it wasn't for the fact that the beast tamer King Guguju was the main character of this story, he would have thought that the other party was joking. However, such a joke actually happened. The beast tamer King Guguju clearly sensed that no matter how much strength he used, how much strength he struggled, Luo Qingtong could easily counter his situation and dissolve all his strength. How did the other party do it? This strength, this method. She was like an old monster who had been immersed in this realm for God knows how many years. How was she like someone who had just advanced? A strong chill rose in the beast tamer King Guguju's heart. He looked at Luo Qingtong in shock. Chapter 2184. Ka. In an instant, beast tamer King Guguju's 5 fingers were crushed into powder by Luo Qingtong in a series of explosive sounds. Then, Luo Qingtong's lips curled into a bloodthirsty smile. She suddenly raised her hand and crushed beast tamer King Guguju's palm into a pile of flesh and blood. During this process, beast tamer King Guguju's voice was extremely miserable. He constantly struggled with all his might. However, under the same realm and strength, Luo Qingtong's pair of blood-red eyes, all of his strength was within Luo Qingtong's expectations. If Luo Qingtong was an ultra-precision microscope, then beast tamer King Guguju was a sieve full of holes. Under such circumstances, how could he be Luo Qingtong's opponent? Bang! After crushing beast tamer King Guguju's palm, Luo Qingtong lifted her leg and kicked him away. Pooh! Beast tamer King Guguju's body flew along the ground, where Luo Qingtong kicked him. He flew for nearly a kilometer before heavily smashing into the ground and spitting out a mouthful of blood. Bang bang bang! Beast tamer King Guguju's body finally smashed into the group of people from the various sections. Quite a few of them were sent flying. It wasn't that no one wanted to stop beast tamer King Guguju's flying body. However, when they stretched out their hands to stop beast tamer King Guguju, they were all sent flying by the terrifying and vast power coming from his body. This power naturally couldn't belong to beast tamer King Guguju. Then it could only belong to Luo Qingtong. Thinking of this, the crowd was extremely shocked. Just like how the beast tamer King Guguju did not dare to believe in Luo Qingtong's strength, the crowd couldn't believe that Luo Qingtong was so powerful. The other party had just broken through to the peak of the holy venerable stage. He actually tortured the beast tamer King Guguju, like he was torturing a dog. Not to mention that all of them were here to stop her. But they couldn't even stop beast tamer King Guguju, who was sent flying by her. What kind of terrifying power was this? What kind of monstrous talent was this? Everyone had seen their fair share of young geniuses in this world. But at this moment in front of Luo Qingtong, it seemed that all the young geniuses had lost their radiance and color. Which young genius could be like Luo Qingtong, who had just made a breakthrough and was able to beat up experts of the same realm, as if he had been immersed in this realm for countless years? This could no longer be called a genius. It was a monster. If it was said that Luo Qingtong was lucky to be able to contract with that treasure light ball and improve her strength, then using her newly improved strength to torture the beast tamer King Guguju, that was true strength. While everyone was shocked, Sky Yuan Sect, Suyu Su Xiaoxiao, and the others were pleasantly surprised. Master! Boss! Suyu Su Xiaoxiao, and the others were surprised and happy, crying and laughing at the same time. The so-called going from hell to heaven was just like this. Their hearts were filled with grief just now. Who would have thought that Luo Qingtong would actually turn the tide at the last moment? Thinking of what Luo Qingtong said before, they did very well. Tears of excitement flowed down everyone's cheeks. They had really helped their master. They really protected their master. Everyone's tears flowed freely, crying uncontrollably. Chapter 2185. No one knew how much they wanted to stand by Luo Qingtong's side and block all the wind, frost, sword, and rain for her. They wanted to tell everyone in this world that they weren't trash. They weren't burdens by Luo Qingtong's side. They cultivated with all their might, not fearing danger, not fearing hardship, not fearing death. It was for nothing else but to be able to stay by Luo Qingtong's side. Now they did it. Everyone was laughing and jumping, almost unable to control themselves. Su Xiaoxiao, little tyrant Yuan, and the others were so excited that they hugged each other. The joy in their hearts at this moment made them unable to feel the pain of their bodies turning into white bones. The people from Sky Yuan sect were also pleasantly surprised. They couldn't help but look in Luo Qingtong's direction. The girl's reversal was too shocking. They really thought that Luo Qingtong was dead for sure. They didn't expect her to have such a move. The group of people from Sky Yuan sect didn't know how Luo Qingtong managed to complete the contract in an instant. But this didn't stop them from feeling happy. Luo Qingtong's contract was successful, and her strength increased. The beast tamer King Guguju and those people from the sects were dead for sure. And the people from Sky Yuan sect were celebrating. It was the end of those people from the sections. They looked in the direction of Luo Qingtong and the others. Their faces were as if they had lost their parents, and they kept retreating. Run! They screamed at the top of their lungs, then turned around and ran. If there was a chance, these people from the sects wouldn't run away without dignity. But the beast tamer King Guguju was easily sent flying by Luo Qingtong. None of them caught him when they went to catch him. Under such circumstances, how could they dare to stay and deal with Luo Qingtong? The other party was simply an inhuman, an evildoer, a monster. After giving Luo Qingtong a bunch of definitions in their hearts, the group turned and ran. However, the people from Sky Yuan sect had long had enough of their sufferings. It wasn't easy for the situation to turn around. How could they let these people from the sects escape? Immediately, all of them were stopped. This time, the tables had turned. Previously, they were the ones who desperately blocked the people from Sky Yuan sect. Now it was the people from Sky Yuan sect's turn to attack them. Under the attacks of the people from Sky Yuan sect, the people from the other sects desperately fled left and right. But the people from Sky Yuan sect had hope and hope. How could they let them go? They immediately used 120% of their strength to stop them on the spot. After all, Luo Qingtong's side House, your injuries is this? Luo Qingtong looked at the injuries of Su Yu and Su Xiaoxiao. The latter's the power of the medicinal liquid Su Xiaoxiao concocted is constantly corroding and invading their bodies, turning them into white bones. Su Xiaoxiao, little tyrant Yuan, and the others were almost half skeletons. But when Luo Qingtong asked them, they grinned and said, "It's okay, boss. We're fine." Little tyrant Yuan raised his hand to pat his chest, only to find that his limbs had all turned into white bones. He couldn't even lift them. Luo Qingtong looked at them. The bloody light in her eyes surged fiercely, but in the end, she didn't say anything. There was no need to say anything more. Chapter 2186. Luo Qingtong nodded at them, then used her blood-red eyes to analyze the composition of Su Xiaoxiao's concoction. Soon, she finished concocting the antidote and gave it to little Overlord Yuan and the others. At the same time, she used the power of the life blade to replenish their vitality and vitality. Su Xiaoxiao and the others almost lost half of their lives this time. If they couldn't replenish their vitality, even if they took the antidote, they would be plagued with illness in the future, and their bodies would be extremely weak. Fortunately, the power of Luo Qingtong's life blade was specially used to replenish vitality. Very quickly, the life force that they had lost was replenished. At the same time, Luo Qingtong plucked a leaf from the ancient heavenly spirit tree and gave it to them. She told them to wait until the right time to consume it. It would be best to consume it when they were breaking through. This way, the awakened soul imprint would be stronger. Su Xiaoxiao and the others complied, then sat down to meditate and recover their vitality. Su Yu and the others' internal injuries were also healed by Luo Qingtong. She also gave the blood-colored immortal jade bones that she had obtained before to Su Yu and the others. She told them to hold on to them so that they could break through in the future. Those blood-colored immortal jade bones had already been refined by Luo Qingtong when they were in the Shattered Star Valley, because the ancient heavenly spirit tree had absorbed a lot of death energy and evil energy from the immortal jade bones. Its growth was also very fast. Now it already had more than 30 leaves. Luo Qingtong let Little Pig take it to stroll around the area, purifying and picking up all the immortal jade bones among the white bones. With so many immortal jade bones, it was enough for the ancient heavenly spirit tree to grow more leaves. At that time, Luo Qingtong would leave behind some essential leaves and give the rest to Su Yu and the others. When Little Pig heard this, he immediately agreed to it. He had been scared to death just now. Luo Qingtong was still fine. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. He urgently needed to do something to calm himself down. It was good to pick up treasures. Just as Little Pig was about to leave, Luo Qingtong shifted her gaze back to Beast Tamer King Guguju. The latter was lying on the ground, coughing up blood. He tried his best to get up, but he couldn't. Luo Qingtong's kick was not a random one. The pain Su Yu and the others had suffered at the hands of the Beast Tamer King Guguju. She wanted him to return it 1,000 times over. How is it? Comfortable? Luo Qingtong looked indifferent. She sneered as she looked at the figure of the Beast Tamer King Guguju in front of her and slowly walked over. Isn't it great? When you dealt with my people before, did you also have such a look of absolute control over their lives? Luo Qingtong smiled. The young girl's face was absolutely beautiful. When she smiled, it was as if she was radiating a dazzling light. Her beauty was indescribable, and her charm could topple cities. However, the depths of her eyes were very cold. His blood-red eyes were like ice-cold flames as they flickered. She walked in front of the Beast Tamer King Guguju. She lowered her head and looked at him, then stepped on his hand. Ah! Beast Tamer King Guguju screamed miserably. Luo Qingtong directly crushed his other hand into meat paste. Sorry, I couldn't control my temper. Luo Qingtong looked at the Beast Tamer King Guguju with a smile. She raised her hand and brushed a strand of hair behind her head. You probably don't know. Luo Qingtong looked indifferent. I hate it when people touch my things. Don't even think about it, touching my people. Luo Qingtong said. The smile on her face became even more evil. Chapter 2187. Luo Qingtong's voice rang out. Instantly, Beast Tamer King Guguju screamed shrilly. Luo Qingtong, don't be so smug. Perhaps because he knew he was going to die, Beast Tamer King Guguju threw caution to the wind. He looked at Luo Qingtong with a twisted and strange smile. So what if you kill me? The leader of the Star Alliance is still waiting outside. As he spoke, he laughed coldly. If we obtain the treasures in this forbidden area, perhaps we can still escape from his hands. Or perhaps we can even preserve our lives from his hands. But you, he looked at Luo Qingtong with disdain and laughed loudly. You can only be killed by the people of the Star Alliance. Bitch. Ha ha ha. Beast Tamer King Guguju laughed loudly, his heart filled with unspeakable joy and pride. So what if he died? Luo Qingtong, that bitch, would still come to accompany him in the end. At that time, he would wait for Luo Qingtong, that bitch, in the underground. Luo Qingtong looked at his smug and arrogant expression and suddenly raised her eyebrows. Is that so? Luo Qingtong looked at him and said carelessly. Someone beside me didn't come in here. Not only that, but several people beside him also didn't come in here. Can you guess why? Beast Tamer King Guguju's eyes widened at Luo Qingtong's words. You. He looked at Luo Qingtong in shock, and then suddenly remembered that he didn't see the masked man beside her in the land of the deceased immortals. That mysterious masked man was very powerful. If he was in the land of the deceased immortals, he wouldn't be able to deal with Luo Qingtong. But the masked man didn't appear. Why was that? If not for Luo Qingtong's words, even if beast tamer King Guguju thought of this, he wouldn't think too much about it. But now, after hearing Luo Qingtong's words, he couldn't help but think of a terrible idea. He's from outside the domain. He's from outside the domain, right? Beast tamer King Guguju instantly went crazy. Someone from outside the domain. The masked man was actually from outside the domain. And there was no news of that man in the hidden world. And he came from the secular world with Luo Qingtong. Beast tamer King Gu was very clear about what this meant. This meant that the other party didn't need to go through the Stargate that connected the hidden world to the outside world. They could easily break through the barrier and reach the secular world. That was why the people of the hidden world knew nothing about him. Thinking of this, beast tamer King Guguju's heart trembled with indescribable madness. The masked man beside Luo Qingtong actually had such a background. While beast tamer King Guguju's heart went crazy and was in disbelief, Luo Qingtong's eyes suddenly twitched. Alright, you already know what you need to know. You can die peacefully now. Also, the corners of Luo Qingtong's lips curled up, and her expression was indescribably indifferent. Since you don't want to choose a way to die, then I'll choose for you. Luo Qingtong basically didn't want to talk so much nonsense. But if she could let beast tamer King Guguju die with remaining grievances, she was still willing to talk a little more nonsense. While speaking, Luo Qingtong waved her hand. In an instant, several figures were dragged over by her. Chapter 2188. As Luo Qingtong spoke, she released the power that bound those figures. In an instant, those figures pounced towards beast tamer King Guguju. When he saw Luo Qingtong dragging those figures over, beast tamer King Guguju's eyes widened. These people were none other than the beast taming King Valley's Valley Master. They were the ones who had turned the beast taming King Valley's elders into mindless monsters. These people had been fed the immortal jade bone and mutated in front of beast tamer King Guguju and the others. Afterwards, they were thrown to Su Yu and the others to deal with the great Yong Saint corpse puppet. Now that Luo Qingtong had dragged them over, they could deal with beast tamer King Guguju. Naturally, only beast tamer King Guguju could reap the fruits of his own actions. Beast tamer King Guguju screamed miserably. At this moment, his aura was sealed by Luo Qingtong, just like Su Yu and the others. When those mutated beast tamer King Valley elders rushed over, he was unable to resist. At this moment, Luo Qingtong temporarily removed the influence in the minds of those mutated beast tamer King Valley elders, allowing them to regain some of their consciousness. Under such circumstances, these beast tamer King Valley elders looked at beast tamer King Guguju as if they wished they could chew on his bones and eat his flesh. They madly rushed towards beast tamer King Guguju. Using their mutated tentacles and sharp thorns, they ruthlessly pierced into Guguju's body, sweeping him up and tearing him apart bit by bit. A group of people rushed over, desperately gnawing at his body and flesh. Beast tamer King Guguju struggled with all his might, but he couldn't use any strength. No matter how hard he struggled, it was useless. Instead, it stimulated those mutated beast tamer King Valley elders, who tore and gnawed at him even more crazily. Those miserable screams mixed with the sound of chewing continued to ring out, causing one's hair to stand on end. The people from the other sects who had tried their best to escape, but had been stopped by the people from the Heavenly Yuan sect turned around and saw this scene. Immediately, many of them were so frightened that they cried and knelt down, begging Luo Qingtong to spare their lives. The girl stood in the center of the forbidden zone, her face cold. Kneel down and swear that you will be my slaves forever, and I will spare your lives. For Luo Qingtong, anyone who tried to kill her was unforgivable. However, most of the experts from the sects in the hidden world were here. If Luo Qingtong killed all of these people, she would have to face the mess of the hidden world in the future. On the contrary, it was not beautiful. It was better to have these people submit, swear to be slaves, and never betray him. This way, she could save a lot of trouble. Hearing Luo Qingtong's words, the faces of many sects people stiffened. Swearing to be a slave forever meant that he would be Luo Qingtong's slave for the rest of his life. Not only that, he would not be free even after death. In the future, when he reincarnated, he would still have to be Luo Qingtong's slave. Many people hesitated. At this moment, Luo Qingtong waved her hand indifferently. Kill! Su Yu and the others had already recovered their strength. Hearing this, they immediately jumped up, brought their contracted beasts, and started to kill with the people from the Heavenly Yuan sect. Seeing this, the people from the other sects were instantly scared out of their wits. Those who were still hesitating before saw Su Yu and the others rushing over, and remembered that this was the land of the fallen immortals. Once they died here, their consciousness and soul might be completely left here in the future, not to mention the afterlife. Thinking of this, the crowd immediately swore. Luo Qingtong looked at them and raised her eyebrows. Just as she was about to say something, suddenly, Chapter 2189. Chirp, chirp, chirp. There was a slight sound, and then a small figure appeared in front of Luo Qingtong like a flash of lightning. Paji! The moment the figure appeared, Luo Qingtong subconsciously slapped it. In an instant, the little thing was slapped to the ground, and it fell with a loud thud. Woo! Wah! Before Luo Qingtong could react, she saw a small white ball on the ground looking at her with a pout. Then it started to cry. Chirp, 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 chirp. Luo Qingtong looked at it jumping on the ground with tears in its eyes. She didn't know what it was complaining about, and her lips twitched. This is. She looked at the little thing, and saw that it was round and looked like a ball. There was a small tuft of something on its head, that she didn't know if it was fur or a mark. She suddenly reached out to touch it curiously. You are that Sector Beast? Luo Qingtong held the last two words in her mouth, but she didn't say them out loud. In this forbidden area, there was such a small, round, chubby thing, and it seemed to be a newborn beast. Other than the Sector Beast and the ball of light, Luo Qingtong couldn't think of anything else. However, this Sector Beast was actually like this. Luo Qingtong looked at the little thing that was crying so hard that its tears almost piled up into a small pond. Her lips twitched even more. She raised her hand to touch the soft little thing, then saw it pout and cry even harder. She couldn't help but raise her hand to support her forehead. This was the Sector Beast? The treasure that the great beings from other regions had risked their lives to get here? Luo Qingtong's lips twitched. She suddenly felt like her heart was disillusioned. What happened to being so domineering? It was so soft and crybaby, and it was so small. It didn't match the domineering and powerful aura it had shown when it was about to be born. Luo Qingtong didn't know what to say. She looked at the huge ball of light behind her. The latter had already shattered into several pieces. Streams of origin aura emanated from it. Obviously, this little fellow was that Sector Beast. There was no doubt about it. Luo Qingtong's lips twitched as she thought about it. Right after she completed the contract, she was busy dealing with the beast tamer King Guguju. He did not pay too much attention to this small Sector Beast. The latter did not come out immediately after completing the contract with her. Did he just come out after absorbing the energy from the light ball? Luo Qingtong looked at the little dumpling on the ground. The latter was also looking at her. Seeing that she had no intention of comforting it, it suddenly jumped towards Luo Qingtong. This time, Luo Qingtong didn't send it flying. That little ball rushed into Luo Qingtong's arms and rubbed against her chest pitifully. Then it blinked a pair of big eyes and looked at her. She looked both aggrieved and pitiful. There was even a hint of anticipation in his voice. Luo Qingtong looked at its eyes and said uncertainly, "Do you want me to hug you?" She reached out and picked it up. After being picked up by her, the latter was so happy that it jumped up and down. Its big, cute eyes narrowed into slits looking like crescent moons. It was very cute. Obviously, it wanted Luo Qingtong to hug it. Chapter 2190. The corners of Luo Qingtong's lips twitched slightly. It turned out that this little guy was here to ask for kisses, hugs, and hugs. It was also here to complain about how she had bullied it. This was really, Luo Qingtong felt that the image of the Sector Beast in her mind had been completely destroyed. Speaking of which, among her pets, Snowball was the only one who looked like a divine beast. The rest were Little Pig, this Sector Beast, and that gold-seeking hamster. They were all a bunch of adorable fools. They did not have any powerful aura at all. As Luo Qingtong thought about this, the corners of her lips twitched again. At this moment, the little ball jumped out of her arms and hopped toward the place where the huge light shell had broken. Chirp, chirp, chirp. It hopped on the huge light shell fragments and chirped toward Luo Qingtong. Luo Qingtong looked at it and immediately walked over. What are you trying to do? Luo Qingtong looked at it and thought for a while. Then she asked, do you want me to take them away? She watched as Xiao Tuanzi bounced around on the fragments of the light shell. Chirp, chirp, chirp. The soft and cute little ball quickly nodded and chirped. Okay. Luo Qingtong nodded. In the waist ring in her hand, there was no lack of huge space. It was more than enough to store these light shells. Although she did not know what these light shells were used for, they were the light balls of the sector beast's birth. Maybe they were useful to it. As Luo Qingtong thought about it, she immediately kept the huge shards of the light shell. She picked out a huge space ring from the waist ring that little pig had given her. She waved her hand and put the huge light shell fragments scattered on the ground into the waist ring. Seeing this, the Sky Yuan sect leader and the others, who were walking toward Luo Qingtong, were shocked. They also had Sumeru space spirit weapons. However, they could not do what Luo Qingtong did, and put away the huge light shell fragments with a wave of her hand, because it required too much space. Luo Qingtong actually had such a huge spatial Sumeru spirit tool in her hands. Everyone looked at Luo Qingtong with amazement and awe, not because of anything else. The ability Luo Qingtong had revealed was already extraordinary. Now that she had such a large spatial Sumeru spirit tool in her hands, everyone couldn't help but guess the true identity of Luo Qingtong. Even if the highest dean had tried his best to testify that Luo Qingtong was someone from the true Spill Continent's secular world. However, just like how the beast tamer King Guguju couldn't believe that Luo Qingtong was from the secular world, the Sky Yuan sect couldn't believe it either. After all, was there anyone in the secular world who had an endless trump card like Luo Qingtong and an unfathomable ability? With the talent and strength that Luo Qingtong had displayed, no one would doubt that she was a powerful direct descendant of a great race or a high-level power. While everyone was thinking, they had already walked to Luo Qingtong's side. Miss Luo, the Sky Yuan sect leader, was deliberating, thinking of just how to broach the subject with Luo Qingtong. Now that most of the influences in the hidden world had already submitted to Luo Qingtong, the people of the Sky Yuan sect also intended to pledge their allegiance to Luo Qingtong. After all, with the general trend of events, there was no benefit to their Sky Yuan sect remaining independent. On the contrary, with the friendship that they had with Su Yu and the others in protecting Luo Qingtong, if they pledged their allegiance, Luo Qingtong absolutely wouldn't treat them badly. As the Sky Yuan sect leader thought this, he opened his mouth to speak. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.